Well, good afternoon, and thanks for watching THV 11 News at noon. Ida has now been downgraded to a tropical storm after pounding parts of Louisiana and Mississippi as a hurricane for 16 hours, with wind gusts up to 172 miles an hour. That's tied for the strongest wind gust in Louisiana state history. More than 1 million customers are without electricity, including all of New Orleans, and that's where Michael George is with the latest.
Ida's powerful gusts ripped off roofs across Louisiana. Flying debris knocked down power lines, leaving more than 1 million people in the dark. In New Orleans, rising floodwaters trapped these drivers in their cars.
Is there any way that you can come halfway? We'll walk over the bridge or close to you.
Officials say it may be 72 hours before rescue crews can get to those trapped. Debris flew off Ochsner Medical Center in New Orleans. Hospitals across the area continue treating patients even in the hazardous conditions.
We have considerable amount of damage to the hospital itself.
On CBS This Morning, Dr. Mark Klein of New Orleans Children's Hospital says he's making plans to evacuate patients because of power concerns.
We currently have fuel for emergency generation to last about another 4 days. And we don't know what our ability will be to get additional fuel in.
We're only now seeing up close the devastation left in Ida's path. Brick buildings like this one in downtown New Orleans were completely reduced to rubble. Officials say they're working to use generators to pump storm water out and drinking water in. As Ida leaves a trail of damage across Louisiana and Mississippi, FEMA officials say it's going to be weeks before the power is fully restored across the area. Michael George, CBS News, New Orleans.
And Arkansans are stepping up to help our neighbors to the south. Governor Hutchinson has now authorized both civilian and National Guard resources from the state to support the emergency recovery efforts in Louisiana. The Texarkana Police Department says they have seen a surge in hurricane evacuees, and they're now asking churches to prepare to house or partner with the community to help out. Also new at noon, 9 members of the Conway Fire Department are on their way to the coast to assist in any way that they can. Meanwhile, several companies, including one here in Little Rock, are also lending a helping hand. Little Rock Coaches has driven 6 of their buses down to New Orleans to get people out of the storm. The president of the company says they have been doing evacuations since early Saturday morning. He told Wake Up Central that they were getting ready to be redeployed to the Lafayette area today. But it's not the only group helping out either. Entergy Arkansas has more than 500 workers, including linemen and tree trimmers, standing by. Some have already headed to the Gulf, while others are hanging back until we know the full impact of the storm here in Arkansas. And once they get word that those customers are in the clear, they'll start making their way south to help restore power to the more than 1 million people that are still in the dark. The Central Arkansas chapter of Sheepdog Impact is packed up and ready to help with relief efforts once the storm moves out. They've got volunteers on standby to help clear debris, cover homes that may have been damaged, and clear out any flooded homes. And remember, you can watch continuous coverage from New Orleans right now on thv-at-noon.com. There you can find our sister station's live stream where they're updating people on the latest conditions and the damage from this catastrophic Category 4 hurricane. Nathan, it's overwhelming in some ways to be here from this side, just watching everything going down, seeing Arkansans going out there to help. It's just been devastating, and we really won't know the full impact for multiple more days, Nathan.
Oh man, it's going to take weeks, maybe months to clean up some of the areas, because look at the official wind observations. These are just some of the highest ones I've seen. Port Fourchon, that's where landfall occurred, and a ship in the port recorded a wind gust of 172 miles per hour. But even New Orleans Airport got up to 90 miles per hour. So that's why most of New Orleans is without power and probably will continue to be without power for the next several days. The good news, Tropical Storm Ida is continuing to unravel, continuing to weaken. Winds are down to 40 miles per hour. You can see that dry air wrapping around from the backside of the system. We are seeing some breezy conditions out there, though. Here are the winds, 10 to as much as 20 miles per hour. There could be some gusts, 25 to 35 miles per hour, primarily for southeast Arkansas. Also seeing the shield of cloud cover move into parts of the state. Cloudy in east Arkansas, sunshine in Mena and DeQueen. Temperatures warming up to the upper 80s to low 90s. But there is the shield of rain primarily staying in the Mississippi, trying to move into eastern parts of Arkansas. So we'll have the chance. There could be a few showers out there in central Arkansas, but by far, this will not produce much rain at all. I'll let you know what to expect for the rest of the work week coming up.
The time for civilian evacuations out of Afghanistan has come to a close as the U.S. military is making sure it gets soldiers and equipment out of the country before President Biden's August 31st deadline. The Biden administration says it will hold the Taliban to its word that any Americans or Afghan allies still in the country after that deadline will be allowed safe passage out. Over the weekend, U.S. forces carried out a drone strike after 2 men were seen loading explosives into the trunk of a car. And defense officials say the Kabul airport came under rocket attack early this morning. A defense system either shot them down or the rockets missed, but no one was hurt. We're learning new details about the 13 U.S. troops killed in last week's terror attack in Kabul. President Biden watched yesterday as the remains of the American service members arrived back in the U.S. during an emotional homecoming at Dover Air Force Base in Delaware. Wei Zhang has more for us this afternoon.
On Sunday, they came home. 11 men and 2 women who died serving their country. President Biden and First Lady Jill Biden attended their dignified transfer in Dover, Delaware. The fallen include U.S. Marines, a Navy sailor, and a soldier. In one of Sergeant Nicole G's last Instagram posts, the 23-year-old shared a photo of herself holding an Afghan baby with the caption, "I love my job," something she just told her sister.
Some of the last things that she said was, "I love being here. This is amazing work." She couldn't wait to tell me more about it after deployment.
31-year-old Staff Sergeant Darren Hoover's father said his son was devoted to family and to leading fellow Marines.
And they would have followed him through the gates of hell if that's what it took. And ultimately, that's pretty much what he did.
20-year-old Lance Corporal Kareem Nakoai's mother wrote on social media, "I felt my soul leave my body as I was screaming that it can't be true. No mother, no parent should ever have to hear that their child is gone." 20-year-old Lance Corporal Riley McCollum will never get to experience fatherhood. His wife is expecting their first child. The servicemen and women range in age from 20 to 31. All killed doing what they loved.
18 U.S. troops were also injured during the attack, and right now they are recovering in Germany, where they were transported for medical care. Wei Zhang, CBS News, the White House.
18 U.S. troops were also injured in the Kabul airport attack. They're currently recovering in Germany, where they were transported for medical care. Coming up on 12:08 and turning now to COVID-19 in Arkansas, we saw drops in several of our numbers this weekend, but the state's death toll continues to climb and could surpass 7,000 later this week. But let's look at the positives. Let's at least start with that this afternoon. First, our daily cases do appear to be on a downward trend. When we compare this weekend's new cases to last weekend's, we did see a 20% drop in infections reported by the state. There were just under 3,000 cases on Saturday and Sunday, and there were over 3,700 last weekend. Meanwhile, hospitals are slowly starting to see some relief in Arkansas. Sunday marked the 3rd straight day we saw our COVID hospitalizations drop. Right now, there are 1,257 Arkansans in the hospital battling the virus. That is down more than 100 since this time last week. Now, unfortunately, ventilator use is still near all-time highs, with 344 COVID patients relying on one to breathe. And remember, you can find the very latest on COVID-19 in Arkansas by texting the word FACTS to 501-376-1111. We'll send you a link to all of our COVID coverage.